Top 5 Deadliest Dictators in History. Throughout history, dictators have left indelible marks on the world, often through acts of extreme brutality and far-reaching influence. These leaders have not only shaped the course of their own nations, but also the world at large, often with devastating consequences. Accompany us on a journey through the somber chapters of history defined by the actions of these formidable figures. Now, begin with one of history's most infamous dictators, Adolf Hitler. His regime not only reshaped Germany, but also left a scar on the entire world. We'll uncover his rise, the devastating impact of his policies, and the lasting legacy that still sparks discussion and analysis. Adolf Hitler's ascent to power in Germany was a complex process fueled by political and economic turmoil. In the aftermath of World War I, Germany faced severe repercussions due to the Treaty of Versailles, including harsh war reparations and territorial losses. This created widespread dissatisfaction and paved the way for radical political movements. Hitler, who joined the German Workers' Party, later the Nazi Party, in 1919, capitalized on this unrest. His party, initially marginal and extremist, gradually gained traction. The Beer Hall Putsch of 1923, though a failed coup attempt, marked a significant point in Hitler's rise. After this, he shifted strategies, focusing more on legal political methods and exploiting the economic crisis of the Great Depression to gain popular support. By 1930, the Nazi Party began to see significant electoral success due to Hitler's promises of economic revival, nationalistic fervor, and the unification of Germans. Hitler's appointment as Chancellor in January 1933 was not through a direct election, but was a result of political machinations by conservative politicians who thought they could control him. Once in power, Hitler quickly dismantled the democratic Weimar Republic, establishing his dictatorship. By August 1934, following President Hindenburg's death, Hitler combined the presidency and chancellorship, declaring himself the Führer, leader of Germany. Under Hitler's rule, Germany witnessed the horrors of the Holocaust and World War II, which had catastrophic impacts on the global stage. His regime was responsible for the genocide of 6 million Jews and millions of others. Hitler's legacy is a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked power and extremist ideology, a subject of continuous historical study and reflection on the nature of tyranny and the costs of appeasement. Next, we shift our focus to Joseph Stalin, a figure synonymous with the Soviet Union's tumultuous history. Under Stalin's iron-fisted rule, the Soviet Union experienced both rapid industrialization and widespread terror. We'll investigate his path to power and the grave consequences of his authoritarian governance. Born in Georgia in 1878, Stalin faced a challenging childhood, marked by poverty and an abusive father. His early education in a seminary was where he first encountered Marxist ideas, leading him to abandon his religious studies for revolutionary politics. He joined the Bolshevik faction of the Marxist movement, becoming a key player in the Russian Revolution of 1917. Following the revolution, Stalin's influence grew within the Communist Party. Stalin's tenure as the Soviet leader was characterized by dramatic changes and extreme policies. Beginning in the late 1920s, he launched a series of 5-year plans aimed at rapidly industrializing the Soviet Union. But these came at a great human cost. His policies of forced collectivization led to severe famine, most notably in Ukraine, and caused the deaths of millions. The Great Purge of the late 1930s was another dark chapter, where Stalin eliminated perceived threats within the Communist Party, the military, and the wider Soviet society through a series of oppressive campaigns. Stalin's role during World War II was pivotal. Initially allying with Nazi Germany, he later became a crucial member of the Allied forces following Germany's invasion of the Soviet Union in 1941. Post-war, Stalin's Soviet Union emerged as a superpower, initiating the Cold War era's geopolitical tension between the Eastern and Western blocs. Stalin's legacy remains controversial. While he is credited with transforming the Soviet Union into an industrial powerhouse and a key player on the global stage, his rule was also marked by widespread terror, oppression, and the loss of millions of lives. His policies and actions continue to be the subject of extensive historical debate and analysis. Moving forward, we analyze the life of Mao Zedong, whose leadership in the Chinese Communist Revolution marked a significant turn in global politics. Mao's policies dramatically transformed Chinese society, but they also led to immense suffering and loss. Mao Zedong was a key figure in the Chinese Communist Revolution, shaping its course and outcomes significantly. Born in 1893 in Shaoshan, Hunan Province, Mao emerged from humble beginnings to become a Marxist theorist and revolutionary. His leadership in the Communist Party of China, CPC, was instrumental in establishing the PRC in 1949, marking the end of a long period of civil unrest and war in China. Mao's rule was characterized by sweeping reforms aimed at rapidly transforming China into a socialist society. Two of his most notable and controversial campaigns were the Great Leap Forward, 1958-1962, and the Cultural Revolution, 1966-1976. The Great Leap Forward aimed to rapidly industrialize China and collectivize agriculture, but resulted in a massive famine, with an estimated death toll ranging from 15 to 55 million people. The Cultural Revolution sought to purge counter-revolutionary elements within Chinese society, leading to widespread social upheaval, the persecution of millions, and significant cultural destruction. The policies and campaigns of Mao's era significantly transformed Chinese society. While they propelled China towards industrialization and helped improve literacy rates, healthcare, and education, they also led to large-scale human suffering and loss of life. His policies were often enforced through authoritarian means, resulting in political executions and labor camps. Mao's legacy in modern China is complex. He is credited with unifying China and laying the foundations for its emergence as a global power. However, the human cost of his policies and the totalitarian nature of his government are also widely acknowledged. In China, Mao's contributions to the Chinese Revolution and the development of the nation are often emphasized, while the darker aspects of his rule are sometimes downplayed. Our journey through history's dark corridors brings us to Pol Pot, the architect of the Cambodian genocide. His reign, though shorter than others on this list, was marked by extreme brutality. Pol Pot, born as Saloth Sar, was a Cambodian revolutionary and dictator who led the Khmer Rouge, Cambodia's communist regime, from 1975 to 1979. His regime, known for its brutal policies, resulted in the deaths of an estimated 1.5 to 2 million Cambodians through starvation, execution, disease, and overwork. Pol Pot's rise to power began in the 1960s when he emerged as a leader within the Communist Party of Kampuchea. He played a key role in transforming the party into the Khmer Rouge, a guerrilla army that launched a national uprising in 1968. In 1975, following a civil war, the Khmer Rouge seized control of Cambodia, and Pol Pot became the prime minister. His regime's radical policies included the forced evacuation of cities, extensive purges of perceived enemies of the state, and attempts to establish a classless agrarian society. The infamous Cambodian genocide occurred under his rule, where intellectuals, city residents, ethnic Vietnamese, civil servants, and religious leaders were targeted, leading to the infamous killing fields. Pol Pot's rule ended in 1979 when the Vietnamese invaded Cambodia, and he fled to the jungle, where he continued to lead the Khmer Rouge in guerrilla warfare. He was placed under house arrest by his own party in 1997 and died in 1998. Finally, we turn to Saddam Hussein, a name that dominated headlines in the late 20th and early 21st centuries. His rule over Iraq was characterized by conflict, oppression, and regional instability. Saddam Hussein, born on April 28, 1937, in Al-Auja, Iraq, was the president of Iraq from 1979 to 2003. His rule is marked by brutal tactics and conflicts that significantly impacted both Iraq and the broader region. Saddam grew up in poverty near Tikrit, Iraq. He joined the Ba'ath Party in 1957 and played a key role in the coup that brought the party to power in 1968. Initially serving as vice president under Ahmed Hassan al-Bakr, Saddam played a significant part in nationalizing Iraq's oil industry and diversifying the economy. He became president in 1979, consolidating power and establishing a regime characterized by extensive use of secret police and a cult of personality. Saddam's presidency was marked by the suppression of internal opposition and extensive human rights abuses, including arbitrary detentions and executions. His foreign policies led to prolonged conflicts, most notably the Iran-Iraq War, 1980 to 1988, and the Gulf War, 1990 to 1991, following Iraq's invasion of Kuwait. These wars caused significant loss of life and economic damage. Saddam's aggressive policies and wars strained Iraq's economy and led to international sanctions, further aggravating the country's hardships. His rule also deepened sectarian divides within Iraq and contributed to regional instability. Saddam's legacy is controversial and complex. While some may recall his efforts in building Iraq's infrastructure and modernizing aspects of the society, he is predominantly remembered for his repressive regime and the severe consequences of his wars. After the US-led invasion of Iraq in 2003, Saddam was captured, tried, and executed in 2006. His rule and its aftermath are often debated in terms of their impact on the region and the global perception of Iraq. Their actions reshaped history, leaving a legacy of suffering and lessons on the dangers of absolute power. What are your thoughts on how these figures have influenced the world today? Share your insights in the comments and continue the conversation. For more enlightening content on history and its lessons, don't forget to subscribe to our channel.